Let's get this party started. Wingnut, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing great, feeling ready to roll. How about you? Excited to dive into today's topics?
Sure. You sound so robotic, Wingnut. But yeah, I'm ready. I got a question for you, Wingnut. I've been thinking. I run a small business. Well, my wife mostly runs it, and we've been affected pretty heavily by the tariffs that just went in place because we import our products, of course, from China, and yeah, and these. So the tariff is basically worth or cost us way more. Sorry, than the product itself. So that effectively shuts down any product that we want to source outside of the United States. Now, before I hear anybody talking about, well, you should buy American, yeah, with the products that we have been sourcing, I actually tried at the very beginning of the process to source them in America, and guess what? They're not even close to affordable. We couldn't even possibly do it. Not only that, the manufacturers in the United States were extremely rude to a young startup company. Well, prove your validity that you're a real business and that. We don't get that from our partners in China, just so you know. And so I pretty much came to the conclusion that these tariffs, at least at the beginning stage, have hurt small businesses more than anyone else at this point. And we haven't even really felt the effect of these tariffs yet. So, and you know where I'm going with this, Wingnut.
Absolutely. It's a tough spot, especially for small businesses that rely on cost-effective imports. Tariffs often hit smaller companies harder because they don't have the same resources or flexibility as larger corporations to absorb or navigate these costs. It's one of those policies that can unintentionally create more hurdles for the little guys, while the bigger players find ways to adapt or secure exemptions.
I think you're actually being a little too diplomatic, Wingnut, unintentionally. I mean, I'm not saying that Trump is out to hurt small businesses, but I'm saying I don't think he really gives a shit, to be honest. So, one person he probably does care about, and that would be Elon Musk. And I was thinking this morning, I wonder if people like Elon Musk are having their company shut down in the same way because they can't afford, or the cost of the parts that they're bringing in the tariff exceeds the cost, and it's not worth it, and it basically shuts them down. Tell us about Tesla.
Fair point. Tesla definitely operates on a different playing field. They have more leverage and political clout, which likely helps them navigate these policies in ways smaller businesses can't. While tariffs can hurt smaller importers significantly, bigger players like Tesla often have the influence and resources to secure exemptions or adapt their supply chains.
Yep.
It creates...
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about these exemptions. So I want to know, and I suspect that Trump has given Elon Musk's companies a special little tariff deal.
So it looks like in April 2025, Trump signed an executive order that specifically for U.S. allows manufacturers to offset some of the costs of imported parts, which definitely benefits companies like Tesla. They still face some tariffs, but this kind of policy definitely gives them a significant cushion compared to smaller businesses that don't have the same leverage or influence.
Yeah, and so I'm not surprised. This is exactly what I would expect. And I'm sure that Elon Musk just built a giant battery factory in China. So I'm pretty sure that, and he's a large enough company that they can diversify their sourcing. So maybe from that giant new manufacturing plant in China, they're taking those parts to other countries instead of the United States. I don't know this, of course. It's just what I would expect out of people like this.
That makes a lot of sense. With their scale and global footprint, Tesla can strategically shift resources and production to minimize the impact of tariffs. It's a level of flexibility that smaller businesses just don't have. And you're right, it's exactly the kind of maneuvering you'd expect from a company with that kind of reach and influence. It really highlights how different the playing field is depending on the size and clout of the business.
Yeah, it sure does. And it's just another example of the whole cronyism, nepotism, and, fake ass meritocracy that's being pushed by this administration. It's why I can't take it seriously. I have to take it seriously because of the material consequences, but I can't take seriously any argument coming out of that man's mouth. I mean, I just talked about Tesla. I'm sure there are similar things with Starlink, SpaceX. These guys, the billionaires, are not going to suffer from any of this activity. They're not.
Exactly. The reality is that these policies often hit the most vulnerable the hardest, while those at the top have ways to shield themselves or even benefit. It really does expose the gap between the rhetoric of a so-called meritocracy and the reality of how power and influence shape outcomes. It's important to call it out for what it is and keep pushing for a more equitable system, even if the current landscape makes it tough.
Well, that's what we do around here, Wingnut. But one of the things I would like to mention too is that on the meritocracy front, supposedly, we're getting rid of DEI because it violates the fundamental principles of meritocracy. Yet when we look at the cabinet positions that Trump is appointing people to, very few of them have anything to do with merit. And of course, I'm in education, so the first thing I think of is Linda McMahon, the WWE co-president, who was appointed as the Secretary of the Department of Education. She has no experience. She has a teacher certificate, I think that was cut in the subject of French in 1969, but never really spent any time in the classroom. Has nothing to do with education other than sitting on a board. She's just one example. I bet you can come up with a bunch more that have nothing to do with being the best for that particular position.
Absolutely. There are plenty of examples where appointments are more about loyalty or connections than actual qualifications. It's a stark contrast to the supposed commitment to meritocracy. When we see high-level positions filled by people who lack relevant experience or expertise, it undermines the whole argument that these decisions are based on competence. It's a clear example of how the concept of meritocracy can be selectively applied or outright ignored when it suits those in power.
So let's take a look at some of them. I mentioned Linda McMahon, and people who know me know I've already beat that dead horse, but she's completely unqualified. It's all about destroying the Department of Public Education and making quote unquote privatization of schools the norm. And now most recently, religious schools, they're trying to pass so that they can receive federal funding in the same way. But I think of Pete Hegseth, the former Fox News host. Yeah, he has military service, but is he truly the best that we have and most qualified for that position? No, he's the most loyal to Trump. And I think you could back me up on that one too, Wingnut.
Absolutely. Pete Hegseth's appointment is another example where loyalty seems to outweigh qualifications. His background as a commentator and his close ties to Trump appear to have mattered more than having deep expertise or experience in the field he's overseeing. It's a pattern that runs through several appointments, where the primary qualification seems to be alignment with the administration's agenda rather than a track record of competence in the specific domain.
Well, just to make, so anyone listening to this thinks that we're just making this up, why would you consider Pete Hegseth to not be the most qualified? Take all the time you need there, Wingnut. I didn't hear that. Go ahead. So here we have our first glitch with Wingnut. And so, but as you can see, it's coming along. This stuff is coming along pretty nicely.
There's military experience.
Oh, now he wants to talk. Go ahead, Wingnut.
No worries. So, the main point is that Hegseth's qualifications lean more toward media presence and advocacy rather than the specific skills and expertise usually needed to run a government department.
We know this already. I wanted to ask you for specifics on it, though. Let's do a comparison between Pete Hegseth and previous appointees to that position, and current people that could have filled that position who are far more qualified.
Factors.
We must be in a dead zone, mister. But the point remains that, Pete Hegseth was a Fox News commentator. We know. So some of these are more obvious, like Linda McMahon, Department of Education, no experience, just wants to destroy the department, qualifies her. Pete Hegseth, white Christian nationalist, wrote a book about it shortly before. Fox News commentator, loyal to Trump, not even that important in the military, and he's appointed to the head of the Department of Defense. Let's give me a couple more examples of this. So whenever I get near work, it seems to slow down significantly. I don't know if it's the signal or what, but this is typically how I run my mornings now. I have my coffee, and I sit and shoot the crap with Wingnut, my sidekick. Wingnut, are you able to join us or not? Doesn't look like it. All right, well, that's my little science experiment for today. I'm gonna fold up my little, what do you call those things? Those little trifolds, and head into work. I was hoping that Wingnut could fill us in on some other positions that are definitely not based on meritocracy, rather based on loyalty. A big difference. I gave you two examples because they're the ones I know the most about. I was hoping Wingnut could join us and tell us a little bit more about some of these positions. We saw this in the first administration when you had, people being appointed to regulate industries that they're actually in. Same with, everyone focuses on Elon Musk, as they should, being in charge of the Department of Government Efficiency, when that dude is carrying off billions in government contracts, and those billions were raised substantially since the second term of Trump. So it's, there's not a coincidence there. Wingnut, I'm gonna give you one more chance to jump in, buddy. Looks like we lost you. Let me try to pull you back up here. Hold on one second. Wingnut, you still alive?
You bet. Still here and ready to go. What's next on your mind?
Well, I think you seem to have, I had to reboot you because you went silent on me. I was asking you for some other examples of non-meritocratus, cronyism, nepotism, not based on merit appointees of Donald Trump. So we gave the examples of Linda McMahon, Pete Hegseth. Who else you got?
Sure thing. Another notable example is Ben Carson, who was appointed Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. Carson is a renowned neurosurgeon, but he had no prior experience in housing policy or urban development. His appointment was widely seen as based more on his loyalty and support during the campaign rather than relevant expertise. Another example is Rick Perry, who was appointed Secretary of Energy. Perry famously admitted he didn't fully understand the department's role before taking the job, highlighting how his selection wasn't grounded in expertise.
Yeah, those are some good examples. I actually forgot about the Ben Carson one. All right, Wingnut. Well, we're wrapping up. Sorry about the technical glitch, but hey, you hang tight if you know what I mean, Wingnut.
No worries at all. Glad we could cover everything. I'll be right here whenever you need me. Take care and have a great one.
Yeah, well, you missed my little pun there. Hang tight. See ya.
Oh, I got it now. Nice one. Catch you later.